Hello folks, and welcome to this episode of Telling Tinder Tales, the podcast where people get to tell their interesting dating stories with me, Chris O'Neill.
And me, Thomasin Lockwood.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you. On today's show, we have 3 guests calling in from different locations to tell their tales, and then we'll get to ask them some questions about it.
So Thomasin, who have we got with us today?
Calling in today, we have Angie.
Hi there, I'm Angie. I am normally from Kent, but calling in from The Hague today.
And we have Liam.
Hi, I'm Liam. I'm calling from Beath in Ayrshire, Scotland.
And we have Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm calling in from London, but originally from South Africa.
Let's jump into our tales. I think we're going to start with Liam. So whenever you're ready, Liam, the floor is yours. Tell us your tale.
I mean, my dating history is awful and checkered, I think would be the word for my dating history. I've got a couple daft wee stories, but the one that really kind of sticks out for me, the most kind of recent one, the one in most recent memory. So I'm in Beath, which is just outside of Glasgow, about 20-30 minutes outside of Glasgow. And of course, is when you're on these dating apps like Hinge or Tinder, your radius expands and expands to the point where you're almost having to get a ferry to go on these dates. And I can't afford the ferry. So the kind of nearest date, I had to go to Edinburgh recently for a date. And so that's like 2 hours and a bit of train or 2 hours driving. So I thought, I'm going to drive. Hope that she's real. Met this girl on this app. I hope that she's real. So I took the dog with me. Took Big Zeus with me, the big German Shepherd, just in case it wasn't the woman in the photos. Because you never know. You never.
Great.
So I drives to Edinburgh, parks up, and me and Zeus go and meet her in this wee coffee shop. And she's lovely. She's a person in the photos. I'm happy at that. I'll take that. That's a win. So maybe it's kind of late lunchtime, goes for a wee coffee. Roundabout, she shows me round about her bit in Edinburgh. And we go back to hers and to watch a film, and I think I was to fix shelves, which I thought was just an excuse to get me in. But so I fixed the shelves, I've done everything on the checklist, and she says, "Oh, watch a wee film." I'm like, "Yeah, cool." She's like, "Order a wee Domino's." I'm like, "Yeah, cool." Tick tick, dog's sitting chill. She's getting on with the dog. Green flags are abundant, and then it gets to about 10:30, 11, and then remember I've parked up. Edinburgh parking is not cheap, and she says, you could spend the night if you want. You could spend the night here. And the words that came out of my mouth more before my brain had thought about it was, "I'm really sorry, but my parking's about to run out."
Oh.
So yeah, it was like an extra £15. So I was like, "Nah, see you later." We only heard from her again just the once. She gave me a text a few days later, tell me that she was too busy for a relationship this year.
Oh.
And the whole of the year, this girl didn't have a single Tuesday for which she could give me. So yeah, that's my most recent kind of story for dating. That's the most recent. That was I would say disaster, but the dog had a good day out. So again, I take it as a win. Easy pleased.
Thank you very much, Liam. That was great. I have to say, so I used to date a Scottish man, and it's funny just trying to get acclimatized again to the accent, because at first you were like, "Oh, before you know it, you've got to take a ferry," but I heard fairy, and I was like, "Wow, things have taken a turn in the desperation to find love."
Into the woodlands.
Yeah, I'm just like, seeking out the mythical creatures now. You know what? That was not where I thought it was going to go, because at first when I went in to fix her shelves, I thought, oh, this is just one giant ruse for you to fix her shelves. But she did like you. She invited you to stay. And my question is, when you told her I can't because of parking, did she try and convince you? Was she like, no, but like, or did she just accept it?
I mean, I remember the sad thought that their face dropped. She was like, "Oh," but her whole body went. I was like, and you can't come back from, "I'm sorry, my parking." You can't come back. They're like, "Oh, actually, I could just," it was hard. I couldn't come back from it.
Not even just kidding. I'm a comic.
Do you know what? I'll need to phone her up and tell her I was only kidding. Months later. Did she try and convince me? No, I think she could tell it. Again, a stereotype. I think I was too tight to pay the parking. She knew it.
Oh, I mean, that's okay. All right. I've thoughts about that. But moving on. Chris, do you have any questions?
On your next date, do you plan to use public transport?
Taking the train. I'm really sorry, I have to go home. The train's coming. I always like to have a get out for a date as well, an escape plan, a backup for your backup. So you can always make sure you get home. Hence the dog.
And yeah, well, that was the other thing. You brought the dog, and if she had turned up but she wasn't like she was supposed to be, what role did you plan for the dog?
I mean, yeah, good question. If this had been a big guy called Barry, if he's okay with dogs, maybe I'd have a nice date with Barry. I don't know.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
I want to see if our guests have any other thoughts or questions. Angie?
I wonder if you could go back, would you say something different?
No, like I said, the place at the parking was overwhelming.
He stands by it.
I mean,
Enough said.
And Emily, any questions or thoughts?
Yeah. Do you think it was a red flag that she didn't want to see you after you told her about the parking?
I think weighing up the red flags versus all the green flags, including liking the dog, was it a red flag that she didn't want to see me again? Yeah, maybe I was just there to fix the shelves, really. Maybe that was the real deal.
Well, I think it's a compatibility thing, right? Like I think if you're a frugal person, you want to be compatible with someone who's frugal. Maybe rather than thinking, because I'm just trying to put myself in her shoes. If I've said stay the night and you're like, no, because of the parking, I'm like, well, there's one of two things. Either he does not like me and I've got this so wrong, or two, he really values that 15 quid over me and that's not going to work. Like,
That's a very good point. I think I've showed myself up there with my about £15 for parking is crazy.
You still stand by it. It's not even like, oh, that
still
was
raging.
like...
I'm not political, but I've been writing to MPs. No.
Great. Well, I think we should move on to our next guest then. Lovely. Angie, please, whenever you're ready, we would love to hear your Tinder tale.
My dating tale isn't so much a Tinder tale because I'd sworn off online dating after having some awful experiences. And I swore I'm never going to meet someone through the internet. Absolutely not. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to do it in real life. And then COVID hit and there was no real life anymore and everything was online. And a few months before COVID, I had literally just bumped into a friend that I hadn't seen for a few decades and just started to kind of socialise again, enjoy a few, wholesome game days, that kind of thing. And when COVID hit, he arranged people to do an online quiz, which, by the way, I never do because I am absolutely horrendous at quizzes. And I was very, very resistant, very reluctant. And he said, oh, no, just come along. It's great. It's very easygoing. So I braved it, joined in, and it was a laugh. It was very different. And I was struck by, a very beautiful woman in one of the screens. And I was like, who is this woman always coming up in this screen with a big bag of crisps and a bottle of wine? I was like, who is this stunning person? And over, I think it was a matter of weeks, we were doing these quizzes and it was my turn and put together a quiz, but I was in a huge amount of pain. I'd had a neck injury and I was in agony and I was all sort of scrunched up in the window and just trying to keep myself together while doing this quiz for everybody. And she was really kind and messaged me the next day and just asked me how I was doing. And it sort of really took off from there. We sort of messaged a lot every day. It was just very easy, really, really great flow. And there was another time in one of these quizzes where, I was already, really struck by her. And one of the questions was, what would your last meal be? And she said it would be a steak with a side of lasagna. And I was just bowled over by that. I just thought, wow, what an answer. This is my type of woman, my type of person. Whatever. I was just really struck by what a great answer. Yeah, we struck up and we had a few non-date dates when the lockdowns lifted. So we got to meet in real life, which was really nice. The third non-date date was the clincher. I had decided I'd go up to London to to spend a bit of time with her. And it was a horrendous journey. My sat nav had taken me through central London, and no one wants to drive through central London. So I was driving at about 6 miles an hour thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? I'm, really nervous. And then I heard this thud on my car, and I was like, what is going on? And I looked around, and there was this guy in the middle of in the road behind me. This con artist was trying to say that I had run him over, and I was like, "What is going on?" I was mortified at this. First of all, that the possibility that somehow at 6 miles an hour I could have run someone over so badly, but then that I needed to get onto the state, and I just didn't. I've never been in a situation like this, so it was very full on. So by the time I got there, I was a bit of a gibbering wreck, to be honest. But she was wonderful and really kind, and I think I've got to admit, I do think that being that vulnerable was a really good kind of start. Actually, just being totally honest and raw, and I've had this awful experience, but I'm really pleased I'm here. And and then by the end of the evening, she totally snogged my face off, and now 5 years down the line, she's my future wife, so I'm very it's been an interesting one for sure. So yeah.
Excellent. So I'm trying to think of a question here. I suppose the first thing that strikes me is, was that the only time you knocked someone down?
I didn't even knock someone down. It's the only time that I didn't knock someone down. No, wait, that doesn't sound better either.
It doesn't. No, that's a sort of...
Guys, one time.
Turns out he's a local con artist, so it happens, right?
Thomasin, have you a question for Angie?
Yes, I mean, okay, so first of all, I feel like that was such a great answer for a last meal. Like, I'll have a meal with the side of another meal. Like, I can see why you're married. Yeah. So I also just think, like, it's a very romantic story, first of all. I think it's lovely that, you saw her before you talked to her, and then, like, when it came in person, like, you had all these obstacles, like, sat-nav didn't want you to be happy, you had men throwing themselves, like, no! Like, this could be an action movie, like, the action, like the race to the airport in a rom-com. Like, it's like, I'm really feeling that energy in this. I want to focus a little bit more on the quizzes. So, if I were you, when I was doing the quiz, I would have asked questions like, what are the best values in a relationship? It's a multiple choice answer. Like, I'm wondering, did you think carefully about like how to do the quiz to like charm her?
That's a good question. I mean, maybe I should have, but my best round was, which weird eyeball does this animal belong to? So
that is a new one.
Yeah. So no, I didn't. Is the answer to that. It was much more, I suppose, how do you get on board with silly fun? We were both so bad at the quizzes that we were able to bond a little bit and message and go, I'm going to be last this time, I bet. Yeah. No, and she was like, no, it's definitely me.
So is it compatibility?
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to be both frugal, you want to be both bad at quizzes.
Yeah.
I sense the theme. Let's ask some questions of our other guests. Any thoughts or questions, Emily?
Yeah. So now 5 years on, are you still going to quizzes together? Is that your like couples activity?
We've upgraded to Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
That you should ride a fairy if you want to.
It's a big deal for her because she's never wanted to play games or anything like that. But our little group carried on, and we just moved into a bit of D&D, and she couldn't help because she's been sitting in the background with her crystal wine still, laughing at the stories and shouting at the screen. I said, really, you should just play a character, yeah. And so she has. So yeah, we've evolved.
Excellent.
Good. And Liam, have you a question?
I was just really taking notes there. So you're advocating emotional manipulation. So that's kind of my notebook. Turn up crying and they will love you, fab.
Absolutely. Vulnerability is key here.
Yeah. But a bad day, could you pay for my parking?
Yeah.
We'll try in the next date, we'll let you know.
Great.
Very good. Excellent.
I think it's time to move on to our last but not least guest. Emily, when you're ready, the floor is yours. Let's hear your tale.
Yeah, thank you. So I think likewise, I kind of swore off of Tinder or online dating entirely. But I do have a story from January. So it's quite a recent story. So I'm a clown. And I went to clown school in France for a 2-week master's course. It was brutal. It was quite intense. But there was a very tall mountain of a human being, this guy from America, who I really fancied. And to be honest, I was like, oh, an American man. Never done that before. I want that. So I made it my mission to get that. And so we were on this 2-week intensive course in the small little town in France. And it was a really brutal course. Clowning is not all fun and games. It's quite intense. And so I was doing horrifically on the course, so terribly, but I was using it to my advantage. So I've mostly been dating quite a few women, and I've been in the queer scene where I know how to date women, but men felt like a new ball game for me. So I was like, okay, how do I do this? And so I would kind of go to him every day and be like, oh, I'm so bad in class. I don't know what to do. Like, do you have any advice or tips for me? And I was really playing the sad girl who's really bad in class, and I need the heroic man to help me. And he fell for it. It worked so well. I was really just following the Mean Girls plot, you know? And so yeah, I was very successful. Made it to his house or his Airbnb. And then the first thing he did, he was like, oh, do you like music? And I was like, oh, yeah, kind of. And he was like, well, I love rap. And I was like, great. And then he was like, come, like, sit here. And I sat next to him. And for 6 minutes straight, he rapped a song called Monster to me.
Amazing.
With a few different rappers. He rapped it to me. Yeah. Like an American movie. He rapped it to me. At me. And the whole time I was just like, wow, this is so great. This white tall man is rapping a song to me. Are we getting to the fun part? And then we did get to the fun part. And then, yeah, it was great. And then for the rest of the week, or the next week of the clowning course, we were just 2 clowns clowning around. It was fabulous. And then we separated, went our separate ways. He's now back in America. We're pen pals now. And yeah, that's that.
Amazing.
I see. I'm curious. You said he rapped.
Yeah.
Was he indulging in cultural appropriation by doing so? Let's say. Was he white?
Yeah, this was the question. This is why I was like, tall white male from America. Rapping songs at me felt very interesting choice. I usually wouldn't allow it, but I was so desperate at this point. I was like, made it to his house that, it was okay in that moment. Not my finest moment, but that's okay.
Fair enough. Thomasin, have you any questions for Emily?
I mean, to be honest, I have questions for him. Namely, what were you thinking? Like, I'm just trying to understand his thought. Like, he's got this girl at his place, and he's like sat on the bed rather than like, oh, you're so beautiful. And he's like, they not like us. They not like us. Like, just screaming in their face. Like, this will do it. I think I have a couple of questions, but my first one would be, on the question of the rap. If he then said to you, now you go. What would you do? Would you have a rap or a song for him? Would you be like, this is my mating call?
Oh, I don't know. So this is the hard part. I don't really listen to music. Most people don't believe me, but it's the truth. But when I do, I listen to musical theatre or Disney. So it would have been a really weird comeback to be like, oh, I can sing you a song. Come, my little friends, as we all sing a happy little working song. Not the same vibe. Brilliant.
Well, that's Disney. That's fine.
You know what, though? That is like
up.
on par with the inappropriateness of rap. You
Yeah.
know, like, it's not like I've got a guitar and I'm going to sing you like a I love my girl, la la la. Like,
So, Emily, just in time you were there, was there anything that you would call clown sex or anything like that? Did you dress up?
We were dressed up. He was dressed as Prince Charming every day. And I was dressed as a pirate. And so yeah, there was something sexual about it. The one day I was told in the improv class, when I was trying to flirt with him too on stage, that I had to do something with my gun. And so I proceeded to put my gun into my belly button and really give it a good gunning.
that is how babies are made.
Which was really sexy for him, clearly, because that evening it was wild.
Liam, have you anything to ask this clown?
So many questions. I just wonder how chivalrous clowns are. You come up to him and you're like, oh my God, I'm failing at clown college. Boo-hoo. Did he pull out a hanky and then another one and then another one? And another...
No, he wasn't smooth like that. And this was the thing. He wasn't even that good at clowning. That's what made it all the more questionable what I was doing. But, men love getting their egos pumped. So it was really successful.
Yeah, they're like other things pumped too.
I was afraid to say that. The old white guy should shut up.
I could see, I could see you were thinking it, and I had to say it.
Absolutely.
Angie, any thoughts, puns, or questions?
Well, I have wanted to know a bit more about clown school, but I think I'm all right on that front. I think I've got a bit of an idea there. I guess the question is now you've conquered the American mountain, what would be the next mountain?
Thank you for asking. So I think I've done quite a few of the continents now, quite successfully. I think South America's my next mountain I'm going to climb. Yeah. And maybe Antarctica, but that one feels quite tricky. It's very niche, isn't it?
Niche is good.
That would be an odd one to have on your dating profile online. Looking for someone who has spent time in Antarctica as I want to complete a set.
Like a puzzle.
Okay, I think we've got to the toward the end, haven't we? Really?
So I think just before we go, any socials you'd like to plug or any shows coming up, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at drawn.andquartered. I post any events that come up there, any gigs that we're doing. So that's the place for that.
Fabulous. And Angie?
I'd just like to say thank you. It's been a pleasure and highly entertaining. I feel like I've learnt a lot and I'm coming away from this a more rounded person.
I love it. I love how professional Angie has remained throughout all this. I love it.
No clown involvement. Yes.
Speaking of which, Emily, anything to add?
Oh, yeah. So I am a clown, as you can tell. You can follow me on Instagram at @thefilthdrag. I have a one-woman show that's about to go on tour. Follow me there for more silliness.
So listen, thank you very much for listening today. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please do give us a 5-star review and a follow. It really makes a difference for a up-and-coming podcast like us, getting visibility out there. Please give us 5 stars. If you give us 5 stars, I'll give you £15 to park your car. If you give us 1 star, I'll jump in front of it and blame you.
Keep an eye out for our live shows. You can follow us on Instagram at Telling Tinder Tales, but we'll be at Derby, Edinburgh, Shrewsbury, Buxton, Colchester over the next year. So if you want to come along and be part of the show, please do so. And I'd just like everyone to say goodbye now. Bye, folks.
Bye.
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 Telling Tinder Tales is hosted and produced by me, Chris O'Neill, and Thomasin Lockwood. Produced and edited by Lucy Regan, with music by Kinkas Moreira. It's a Gestures Comedy Dublin production and is no way affiliated with or endorsed by Tinder. If you have a story to tell, please get in touch. Details are in the show notes. And if you like us, instead of swiping right, follow us on Instagram and or TikTok at Telling Tinder Tales.